Bitcoin has broken down from its upward trend line. We saw a bit of volatility in the last 24 hours with moves to the downside, moves to the upside, and a continuation of this break to the downside. In today's video, we're going to be jumping down into the technical analysis on the 1 hour, 1 day, and 1 week's time frames. Let's roll that intro and get right down into it. Okay, guys, we're going to start things off right here. So this is Bitcoin paired up with USDT. We're on the 1 hour Binance chart. And as you can kind of see, our higher range expectations here have been met. This was basically 43,508 to 43,927. This meant that we were still in our wave 4 positioning, and we were looking for a 3-wave pattern, A, B, and C. Okay, so it looks like we have completed this structure. Now, it's still possible that we push up slightly higher here, considering a 3-wave pattern from this low. So 1, 2, and then 3. So we could still push up a little bit higher than 200 hourly EMA if we needed to. Okay, confirmation of the breakdown would happen when we cross the lower level of $42,050. Okay, so although we've hit the higher range expectations here, as we were kind of talking about, I think 2 or 3 days ago, it's still possible that we push to the higher range of this, unless, of course, we go down lower than $42,050. So where we sit at the moment is we are looking for moves to the downside. Okay, now this low down here, the target range, is going to be subject to how high we can push on this 4th wave movement. Okay, so if I go ahead and just adjust our view here and we start taking a Fibonacci retracement tool from our low at 41,500 up to the high that we had yesterday, sat at the 43,578, it will basically allow us to see where we are likely to go. Now, and just notice that my charts are missing some of the coordinates, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw these back on. I don't know why they keep disappearing. Lots of different charts, lots of different numbers that are missing or extensions that are missing. We'll go ahead and throw those on, and there we go. Okay, so from here we can see that we are going to be aiming between 1.236 and 1.618, essentially down here at 40,265 to 41,024, right? This is going to be the area that we're going to target out based on the high that we have at the moment. If you do push up to the higher range, around kind of $44,000, then we are going to drop down lower than this yellow box range, okay? But for now, this is where we're going to kind of sit, okay? So it's going to be one of those. We'll keep a close eye on it, but ultimately, we should be thinking about a breakdown. Now, how do we break out of this bearish structure? Well, the breakout happens if price moves higher than $45,606. That is just above this equilibrium area on the chart right up here, okay? So that's how we get the breakout. If we can't do that, then obviously we are still looking at these lows. Now, once we complete the low down here, my expectation will be a move up towards $46,000, this area of consolidation that we saw previously. That is where I think we're likely to take from this low up to this higher range. This is going to be a bit of a relief rally and, you know, get the bulls kind of fired up a little bit to kind of layer in a few more longs before we go down even deeper, because I think we are likely to be retesting and potentially losing the $40,000 level. Smart Money Concepts has us in a bearish structure as well. Okay, so we have this bearish pattern here, this change of characterization, but it hasn't been confirmed. We would need a break of structure. That break of structure is going to happen if we get a closed position below $41,500. Okay, so that's going to be our BOS, and that's going to confirm our bearish pattern. Of course, I expect it all to be short-lived because I am looking for that next move up towards that kind of $45,000 to $46,000 before we then talk about moving down even deeper. $37,000 to $38,000 is probably the next real major pit stop. So on our kind of chart here, we have our Elliott wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure going on. We'll then look for a 3-wave corrective pattern to the upside from our lows, targeting out $45,000 to $46,000 before dropping down once again into that next kind of final 5-wave movement. That's going to be an ABC structure overall, and it will look like a giant A, B, and C. that's how it's going to envision it kind of unfolding. Now, this for the most part is going to be something that takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight. It is going to take a few weeks to play out. So expect some volatility, expect some wicks to kind of liquidate you retail investors that are kind of just gambling on the market. And of course, you're going to see a lot of money being made by the more educated retail investor and of course, institutional investors, market makers, and of course, exchanges. There's lots of money to be made during these moments of volatility. I'm expecting to see a lot of it. So just trade cautiously if you are actively trading on the space. Take this, actually, we'll take a look at the stochastics here. You can see we've got some momentum to the upside potentially here on the 1 hour time frame. We'll go ahead and take that off throw on the divergence indicator here. You can see that there was a little bit of bullish divergence over here yesterday, but we've fallen down. There's no more divergences to be seen on there. From our volume profile, you can see volume profiles are not looking overly strong, just small spikes of volume, but ultimately not a lot going on just yet. So we'll keep a close eye on it, but for now, I think we're in an okay position on the 1 hour time frame. Take this up into the daily. The daily is fighting quite a bit with the 50 EMA and the 50 SMA. So the yellow line is the 50 SMA coming in at 42,886. The red line is the 50 EMA at $42,151. And you can see that the price action's been kind of battling, trying to find support, trying to find resistance. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle around here. Now, like I said, I think we're going to move down. We'll probably tap the lower range of this trend line before moving up and then completely breaking down from this pattern that we have on the daily time frame. Momentum wise, it can go in either direction. The stochastic's not an overly great indicator here at the moment to give us an idea as to kind of exactly what's going on. We had moved down, we had the cross, so we could see momentum shifting back to the upside, but wouldn't be surprised if we just see it reverse on us all of a sudden. Divergence wise, nothing major is being shown, hasn't been shown for quite some time, so nothing to worry about there. The RSI, which is the yellow line on here, as you can kind of see, is below that midline. That is showing us weakness generally. So there's definitely a lot more case for the bears here than the bulls. And we will be looking at moving the RSI, the relative strength index, down to the oversold area, which happens below 30. At the moment, we're at 47.16. So you can see there's still some progression to the downside on that one. Volume profiles here, you can see not really a lot going on since we had high volume in selling. Volumes have dropped since we started to bounce up, but there is a little bit of hopium, I guess, considering volumes have increased ever so slightly here as we tried to push up higher. We have higher highs and higher lows. Those do have a tendency to want to break on down, as I've said many times before. So we'll keep a close eye on it. Overlapping structures, we are looking for a move to the downside. So yeah, for our daily time frame, there really isn't terribly too much more to report. It is kind of business as usual there. Take this up into the weekly. Again, we're correcting quite nicely on the weekly stochastic RSI, but this can still go on for quite some time. Let's reflect on this one over here, for example, right? We can see that we were overbought. We pushed up to new all-time highs at this point in time in April of 2021, and then we dropped down. We were oversold, and we still dropped down over 53%, I think it was. Let me just check. 55% whilst being in this oversold area. So although we are seeing some progression in the stochastic RSI right here, it is not an indication to price exactly. What it is showing us is that price is starting to move down. There is a clear momentum shift, and we are going to be heading down to this oversold area. We might find instant reversals like we had seen previously, or we may find it lingering down here for quite some time. We won't know until we kind of get down towards those areas, but it is good progress nonetheless. Now, the monthly stochastic RSI is still up in that overbought area. Okay, let's go ahead and just pan this out for a second. You can see it's up here in this overbought area still. This is not a good place to be. Last time it was at this overbought, it was on the Coinbase IPO. So not only is the stochastic RSI overbought in the same way that it was with the Coinbase IPO as it is with the Bitcoin spot ETFs, and we can see that what happened previously here is very consistent, right? We saw a 55% drop on the Coinbase IPO. The weekly stochastic RSI corrected down into this move to the upside and lingered down in that oversold area. So if business or Bitcoin is to repeat its history here in terms of how these sell the news events work, then we're going to see a very kind of deep correction on Bitcoin, which is going to lower our monthly stochastic RSI along with our weekly stochastic RSI. So taking a look at this, I'm not too concerned with how fast this has already moved. I think we've still got loads of room to the downside. Again, 30K is where I want us to hold. If it can't hold there, we are going to be dropping down into these slightly deeper ranges as well. So all in all, guys, I think there's a lot of things to kind of be talking about when it comes to Bitcoin's price action, some interesting developments and some fantastic opportunities. If you want to hear about a little bit more about what I think is going on, why not check this video out right here, where I think we're going to see significant reductions in prices for those altcoins as well.